Epstein got a sweetheart deal in 2006, right? And the U.S. attorney for the whatever it was, the Southern District, the Central District of Florida, whatever it was, I guess it was the Central District, has said, this is Acosta, who became labor secretary in Trump's first term, said that he was ordered to give this sweetheart deal. Okay, so where do orders come? Who's the only person in the system there who can order a U.S. attorney to do something? That's the Attorney General. Well, the Attorney General was...
It's like if I were just responding with my anger, I'd want the entire system, we're not just talking monarchies, to just fucking get a reset button.
That's right.
Right? But I also know how much that would affect all of us if it all happened all at once. And so that's the strange dance in trying to go through this case. How do you find a way to go in with the raid, right? And hit all the cockroaches.
Right.
But not, accidentally sprayed in grandma's mouth at the same time.
And this is where you run into that problem of statutes of limitations again. Because it would be far easier if you could just prosecute these people.
Right.
And show the people of every one of these countries involved that it doesn't matter how famous you are or how important you are, we're all equal under the law.
That's
and
right.
That's just not going to be the case here. All these famous rich people, they're all going to get away with it. It's sick.
You don't think anyone in the U.S. will go to prison for this?
I don't. I was talking to a constitutional attorney about this, and he said the only way that that a prosecution could go forward is if the Justice Department could successfully argue that the cover-up of the original crime continued and constituted a conspiracy. So you couldn't be prosecuted necessarily for the crime itself. You would be prosecuted for conspiracy to commit the crime. But he said even that is a stretch.
With statutes of limitations, though, what about all the stuff we're seeing, like in this latest tranche, where these things are occurring, a lot of it, between 2011 and 2019? I would think there's not as if you were doing cannibal acts on kids in 2015, we would be able to prosecute that.
In some cases, on the sex cases, the statute is 5 years, and so we've missed it. Which, you know what, may have been a part of the plan. Why didn't Joe fucking Biden release all this information?
Thank you. Every administration, I would argue, since Clinton has covered this up. And that's the thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? You have Trump in office right now, and there's a massive cover-up happening, and it should be called out. We will call it out. It is what it is. We'll talk about that more. But every administration...
Acosta, who became labor secretary in Trump's first term, said that he was ordered to give this sweetheart deal. Okay, so where do orders come? Who's the only person in the system there who can order a U.S. attorney to do something? That's the Attorney General. Well, the Attorney General was Alberto Gonzalez, who didn't brush his hair in the morning without permission from the president or the vice president, right? He was like legendary for his powerlessness and ill suiting for the position. So, was it Bush? Was it Cheney? Who was it that was close enough to Epstein that he would want to swoop in and save Epstein by giving him the sweetheart deal? Nobody has ever answered that question. And Acosta apparently genuinely doesn't know the answer. His order came down from the Attorney General.
I think I believe him on that, actually.
I do too. I believe him.
Because he said I was told he belonged to intelligence.
Intelligence.
That's the line.
That was the word. He belonged to intelligence.
Well, this gets into that super government kind of thing. Because it's like you say Bush and Cheney, which makes a lot of sense to me. But not, like, my whole worldview is just like,
oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. I used to just piss all over people's analysis when they would start talking about the Trilateral Commission and Bilderberg and the Shangri-La Conference. And then somebody to whom I used to be very close.
Used to.
and about whom a court order exists saying I cannot talk about her in any public forum. She went to one of those events. She was invited because she rose up high enough in the corporate structure that she went. And I couldn't wait to hear, what was it like? And she said, it's a lot of really rich, really important people talking about arms deals.
Arms deals.
It was all about arms deals. And she said, except for Davos. She went to Davos and she said, that's where they were all talking about how to manage the global economy. And I said, so all that shit's true. That they're the ones that sort of set the policy. And she said, yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. But I'm not
Steve, can you get me a pen
allowed
and paper,
to
by the
identify who that person
If
is,
you
nor
don't
will
mind. It's on the counter out there. Usually I've never needed that before, but I may need that today after hearing that. All right, so the Trilateral Commission, for people out there who are unfamiliar, this is something that's been written about a lot in the past, and once again, it's something that's always written off like, oh God, this is
another
where, like,
conspiracy
that's
theory.
right.
Well,
But it's
let's
all,
not
right?
go so fast.
It's
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
It is. They even have a website. They have a website.
Pull up the Trilateral Commission.
And Bilderberg, they list all the people that attend. But by name, all these people. And you'll recognize 80% of them.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's
I guess
nuts.
that's hiding in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something where I guess what I should say is the connotation of it was where the conspiracy theorists would be saying something and people would be like, no, it's just this group. It's David Rockefeller, like,
I know, right?
Harry Under Rothschild, you know? And yeah, listen, we put Clinton on it. He was bored after he left office, you know, and then you get Epstein in this sit down with Steve Bannon. We will talk about him. But you get Epstein saying, yeah, I was on the Trilateral Commission, and here's how I got on. And he makes it sound so simple.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, how do you even get there, buddy? You're a kid from Coney Island.
Yeah, somebody taps you on the shoulder. Next thing you know, you're getting an email.
Steve, can you put the camera on John?
Yeah.
I see what you're writing.
Son of a bitch! Really? I knew it, but really?
Yeah. It was
How'd
very
she get in there? God
it
damn
was
it.
very disappointing to me.
You can't talk about that by court ordered?
No, sir.
Yeah. I already didn't like her. Now I really don't like her. But wow. Wow.
Yeah, this is the life I've given myself.
And I'm just, yeah. Yeah, this is the life I've given myself. Okay, so back to the 08 sweetheart deal, because we were talking about where that would come from. You know, I'm trying to not let my brain run too wild with now every possible answer is
Right.
all over here, and
Right.
it's all like absolutely the worst thing ever. But clearly some of the answers are there. So without getting to his origin story yet, because that's, again, we're going to do that. But you talk about at the Trilateral Commission, they are going over arms deals and everything. Mm-hmm. And now this is entering your world of things that you have witnessed around the world and how shit works. What is it about arms deals that would make it the number one priority for the quote-unquote Illuminati of the world?
Of the Pentagon's $1 trillion budget, fully a third goes to weapons and weapons systems, right? That's just for us. Mm-hmm. So couple that with what we're able to sell to other countries whose leaders are at these conferences. I mean, we're talking about, you know, probably a majority of the American economy year after year after year. That's how we employ Americans. I read something recently, the Washington Post, the New York Times, that the Pentagon has assiduously placed manufacturers or I shouldn't say placed manufacturers. They have placed orders with manufacturers in literally every one of the 435 congressional districts. So literally every single member of Congress has constituents who are dependent on the defense economy, on the defense budget. And so there's no incentive for any member of Congress to vote no on DOD.
And they're also paid by all those companies.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it costs what? $5, $8, $10, $20 million to run for Congress every 2 years? That money's got to come from somewhere. So it comes from Defense Department PACs.
They buy them off on the micro, and then it wins them the macro when you put the numbers together. Yeah, Deef, what'd you pull up here?
Just confirming it, yeah.
All right, so the Washington Post reports that the Pentagon structurally distributes manufacturing and contracting across almost every congressional district to secure broad local political support, making budget cuts difficult. The strategy embeds defense spending into the local economy, with analysis showing that despite a high concentration of funds among top contractors, the broader supply chain is deeply embedded in domestic districts. Yeah.
A friend of mine has a little mom and pop manufacturing plant in Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
Aerotyne International?
No. It's just a little place you've never heard of.
Got it.
And he mentioned something to me one time. Oh, this is probably 5 years ago. He mentioned that he is entirely dependent on the Pentagon. And I was like, the Pentagon? I said, for what? Oh, I can't tell you. He said, it's a classified program. I said, seriously, George? Like, I thought he was making, heels for shoes or something. I didn't know what he was making. And then later on, he told me, like, no, it's this little widget that fits inside, the motor for a, Patriot missile or something like that.
Nice.
And it was like in Beaver County. And he's like, yeah. And then when I saw that report in the Washington Post, I was like, oh, of course. It all makes sense.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.